All right, welcome into the Auburn Live Show. This is the Modcast edition. Got the whole crew here. Real quick, go to auburnlive.com, subscribe. $25 for a year of access. If you're not willing to put up $25 right now, just do $1 for the next month and try it out, and then do $1 for the next month. And I venture to say you'll stay. But go to auburnlive.com, subscribe, and be a part of our growing community. We would greatly appreciate it. All right, Yes. Sorry. I'm reading Keith's chat. I'm like, what? All right, let's jump into this. Jeffrey, Keith, Pink, whole crew's here. How's everybody going? How's the week been?
Not bad.
Yeah,
not bad.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you why it hasn't been bad. Because the attitude, the perception of the fan base, man, it's turned a corner.
Yes,
last week at this time, we were still talking about Brian Harsin when he's going to get fired. We've now had that happen Monday, and it's just been a complete, total change.
Yep, that is the we had the talking points earlier. You know, pros and cons of doing it early or waiting till the end. Well, I mean, I think you're seeing a lot of pros right now from making that happen. Even, Coach Cadillac getting on the ground recruiting, that could be a good thing. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. I agree. And I always thought that was the best move, that the sooner you did it, once it was obvious it needed to be done, there was no point in waiting. Do it. And a fractured fan base starts coming together. People start getting excited about the future again. They can start pulling for the players again. Not that they ever weren't pulling for the players, but when you don't think it's working out with the coach, subconsciously, we all know, I think a lot of fans were just kind of like, whatever happens on Saturday.
Guilty by association.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And so now they can really put the full force of their Auburn fandom behind these players again, and the guys that are on the staff that are still there, Cadillac, Williams, and the remaining guys. And I think it'll be it's kind of like everybody just stepped outside and took a deep breath. What that deep breath can do to you sometimes, just perk you up in a day that when you're having things aren't going well or you're stressed out or whatever, and it's just like this major relief. And that's what it feels like for the entire Auburn fan base right now. I haven't heard anybody say that they aren't excited about the future. Let's put it that way.
No.
Well, they can at least start thinking about it. I think for the players too, I've heard a lot of people say that they feel for the players and that kind of thing. And I don't think that it's quite the scenario you would think. I think that the players knew this was coming. It was just a matter of when. They're not dumb, and they pay attention. So they knew this was coming. This isn't a shock to their system. And maybe it lifts a little bit of a weight off of them in terms of they've been going in the last however many weeks, and they've in the back of their head they know they're thinking, if we don't play well, coach could get fired, or if we lose the game now, okay, so is he gonna be fired tomorrow? So that gets lifted, and they just can go play football. The way they play and the outcome isn't going to turn around and get the head coach fired. Like, they don't have to think about that, or trying to please a head coach that's fighting for his life or feels like he's on the way out. And I think it just releases some of that tension. And now you have a guy like Carnell, who I think is well respected in the locker room, and just change of atmosphere sometimes can help those players. But I don't think when people talk about feeling for the players, I think they're fine. I don't mean that in any kind of way against Harsin. It's just the fact. I think they're fine, and I think they knew this was coming. And if anything, it's probably a weight off their shoulders a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely,
I agree with that. And I'll tell you another thing. Now maybe we're going to get to see a lot more young guys play on Saturdays, because when you're fighting for your life, maybe you rely too much on the older guys and the starters because you feel like you have to have them. You need them to win. I don't know. But whatever's happened the last couple of years, we haven't seen the young guys playing nearly as much as probably they need to be. And then you get to the next year and those guys have no experience, right?
No.
So that's one thing. I'm optimistic that maybe we're going to see this youth movement start to take over. What do you got to lose right now? You're playing for a bowl game, sure. But I don't know. And, Justin, you make a great point, man. These players are a lot more able to handle these things than people think. But here's another thing. I don't know if everybody gets excited about just going to a bowl game. That's a few more weeks of practice. They want to go to a good bowl game. They want a good bowl experience. But at this point, I think more important than just getting to a bowl game is laying the foundation for Auburn football for the future. All right, playing young guys, figuring out what works, what doesn't work. Giving basically the next few weeks are essentially what a new coach is going to be looking at. He's going to be him and his staff are going to be going back through this film and trying to figure out who can play, right? So give them a little bit of a canvas, an idea of guys that they may want to keep and guys they may not want to keep. But right now there's so many unknowns because so many of these guys haven't really played, but a snap here or a snap there. So I don't know. Hopefully that's a benefit of this change. We'll see.
I want to see what the offense looks like with a new play caller.
I do too. I really do. That is the most.
You have two guys. I mean, I would imagine Will Friend and Ike are just going to have to figure it out. I don't know quite what it's going to look like.
I don't either. I'm very excited to see though.
It changed that much. I mean, right? Like your schemes are your schemes.
Yeah.
I don't think even the play calling. I think a lot of the same plays will be run. I just think it'll be, it'll have a different flavor.
Well, and just because you have co-OCs doesn't mean one of the two isn't the guy doing the game plan. I mean, Will's the one with experience doing that. So I would assume. I mean, Justin, this is your beat, but my assumption would be that he'd be the guy. But yeah, it's interesting. Is it the play calling or is it the plays? I guess we're going to find out the next few.
I think I'm curious to see how many carries Tank gets.
Oh, yeah.
Not so much different plays because I don't think you can insert different. I mean, I'm guessing you do week to week, add a little wrinkle here and there. But as far as the overall scheme, I don't think you're going to see much difference. I think it's going to, at the end of the day, you're going to look at, is Tank getting 11 carries?
That's not
with Cadillac as his head coach.
Or do they want to give Alston and Hunter more carries because they're the future? They do have.
It's tough.
Yeah, I don't know.
Do you want to give Tank his, ride out in the sunset? Last, 4 games? 4 games? 4 games left?
Yeah, 4.
Yeah.
Or do you not want to risk him getting hurt in his future and play those young guys? But again, talents, they're not going out and picking up new talent. No. The offensive line is going to be the same.
If I'm way off base here, y'all correct me, but does it feel like there's a couple of guys, Camden Brown, Amari Kelly, Javarius Johnson, Tank Bigsby, Jarquez Hunter, Damari Austin, that actually, pretty good playmakers that you want to see involved a lot? We talk about not having the dudes and all that, and they don't in some areas, absolutely. But it seems like there's some playmakers that could really help you out here if you got them more involved. Am I wrong?
You think so? I've been saying throw him the damn ball, man.
Yeah. Well, every time you throw it to Amari Kelly, he's made a big play too.
Yeah, he's made some good catches. I mean, we'll see. Like, do they specifically say, hey, we're going to target Javarius Johnson 5 times in this game, period? Do they go about it that way? Whereas, previously that's not what was happening. It's just kind of the flow.
Yeah.
They just went with the flow of the thing, and that's fine. But you're not, when you don't have playmakers everywhere, when you just have select playmakers, you gotta, to me, maybe be a little bit more specific in trying to get them the ball. So
that was my biggest point in how Auburn's offense should attack Mississippi State's defense this morning. Don't just, he runs a concept route and he's not open from his spot. I don't know if that's the best way. For a guy like Camden Brown, throwing the back shoulder, that's an easy little thing you can add. It's not something you have to – it's probably in the offense already. It's an easy play call. It's easy for the quarterback.
Here's a question. Who's calling the shots in terms of how many snaps a guy plays? Is Cadillac going to tell Schmedding, I want to see more defensive linemen play? Is the position coach – because I don't know Justin, you may know this. I don't know the structure. We know when Gus was there, he pretty much told the position coaches on offense who was going to be starting and who was going to be playing, and he would make the substitutions. I don't know what's in the case with Harsin, but I'm curious about the rotations. Again, I mean, we've got guys on the defensive line we haven't seen really, hardly at all. Do you play some young linebackers just to see what they have? I mean, gosh, it seems like it's been the same 3 linebackers the whole season. I mean, they don't have a lot of linebackers, but You know, I'm getting back to the point I made earlier. Is this an audition, so to speak, for some of the younger guys for the new coach? You know, Damari Alston's a guy, by the way. He looks faster to me now when I see him play than he ever did in high school. He looks leaner and faster.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm wondering about him. You know.
Yeah, I'm not sure how it's going to work with. I mean, you'd think with everything going on, with all Cornell Williams has to deal with and trying to take this over, of the people staying, you'd think he'd say, "Hey, that's your position. You do that." Like I don't know if Cornell wants to step in and just immediately start dictating. I want to see more of that. I'm not sure. Here's the other crazy thing, by the way. Jeff Schmedding and Jeffrey, you can correct me if you've heard different. People have been asking how he survived, which is a fair question. I don't know exactly how he survived, but I did talk to somebody on the defensive staff that doesn't think he's doing a bad job, shockingly. Now, I'm not in there, and obviously we've seen the last 3 weeks of just 1,000 rushing yards. But how much of that is personnel, how much of that is missed tackles and all that stuff, I don't know. But I did talk to somebody on staff that would have no reason to stick up for him, that said he's not doing a bad job, honestly. But I don't know enough about the X's and O's and all that stuff to know. I see a lot of yards being racked up, but I also see some personnel deficiencies too. So I don't know. Maybe that just would have been a really, really tough one to replace. Defensive coordinator. Will Friend's got a little experience, maybe OC. You can maybe call plays. Defensive coordinator might have been a very different deal trying to figure that out and replace him.
Yeah, you just didn't have anybody on staff that could do that.
Yeah.
I mean, Zach's never done anything more than coach safeties and cornerbacks. Christian Robinson's not had any kind of label there. Who else? Rock's had some. He was a defensive coordinator, I believe, at FAU. Am I wrong there, Keith?
I'd have to look. I'll check while we next time.
And Brumball, as well.
But that's what that was the reason pitched to me when I asked, how in the hell did Jeff Schmedding make it? And it was, we didn't have anybody else.
Justin, if he's been doing a good job, let's say, to me, if you're an Auburn fan, that's scarier because that means you don't have talent, right?
It is,
yeah. So, we all like to think, I think fans like to think, okay, now that we've got rid of – everybody wants to believe they have the players. It's just the play calling and the coaches. And sometimes the reason why guys get fired is because they didn't get the players too. It's not just the play calls and having guys in the right spot. It's and to me, that's even more where you wish it was the coaches, because subconsciously, if it's just the coaches, then we've got the dudes. And in this case, it seems like it was both. It was coaching and not having the guys that Auburn's accustomed to having. So it's going to be a rebuild. I don't think there's any question about that.
Oh, man.
We see that. We're looking at the rosters every day. Casual fan may not be looking at who the backups are. And I mean, they're razor thin in a lot of positions. Linebacker. Along the defensive line, they've got a lot of guys, but they're not playing them, so they must not have that much confidence in them. Secondary, I like what they've done there. But everywhere else on the team, tight end, seem like they've got a lot of guys, but some of those guys are getting older now. Running back, not bad, but now you're going to lose Tank after this season, almost certainly. So, you're razor thin at a lot of positions. Receivers, I don't know. That group never. That was interesting. Remember all the buzz the receivers were getting during the summer? They were going to open so many eyes and all that stuff, and it just hadn't happened. But is that more of the issue that they haven't had a guy that could get them the ball consistently too? I don't know.
No, they haven't created separation.
Okay.
I mean, I was never saying there was a group.
Not you. No. I wasn't saying you said that. No,
they were struggling to create separation in fall camp. I mean, that was always going to be an issue. What do you think, Cole, about Schmedding? You think he's doing the one thing, Cole, about like all the rushing yards is
that's I just looked that up, by the way.
At some point, is that when the amount of rushing yards they've given up, 1,000+ rushing yards in the last 3 weeks. How much just my logic would say that a lot of that's personnel, like getting pushed around and not tackling. I mean, you can only do so much. Are you going to put the whole defense at the line of scrimmage? I mean, either you're going to get off blocks and create plays or you're not. Like that's, I don't know. Just giving up that many rush yards points more to personnel to me. But
I think you're right. I think most of it's personnel. I think the front seven is not good enough to stay up, hold up against the run for an entire game. And they're not deep enough either. That's the other problem. And then I think also you have coaches that look at film and go, hey, number 4 is pretty good. Let's not test him too much. Number 18's been pretty good in his career at Auburn. A couple guys in their secondary, it's just a better idea to run the ball against them. It's working for everybody. So actually, I just looked it up. I was curious because I put on the board yesterday that Auburn's pass defense was ranked 27th in the country, I think, yards allowed. But the rush defense is 127th in the country.
Yeah, love America.
214 yards per game. So
it's gotten out of control.
Yeah.
And they're one of I'm pretty sure, I think I wrote it after the game. I think they're one of just a handful of schools in the country now giving up 5 yards a carry. If you're looking at that, Cole, look at the others. You I don't know if you're at collegefootballstats.com.
Yeah, I got
do yards per carry and look at the other teams that are giving up 5 and then put Auburn in that group. And you're like, that's a place Auburn does not belong in terms of rush defense. It's like Charlotte. And I mean, it's just a group of schools, Colorado, Arizona. I can't remember them all, but it's bad.
Justin, do you think some of that, I'm just asking any of you guys, but really, Justin, do you think some of that can be attributed to the fact that, for a while, the defense was really what was holding the team together, which was what was keeping them in games. And then after a while, they had to have known subconsciously, no matter what they did, it wasn't gonna win them games. And you know what I mean? Like, do you lose a little bit of your gusto out there, a little bit of your effort? I wonder. I don't know. I'm just curious.
It's possible. They've also, to be fair to them, to try to be fair to them, you've also faced Georgia, who's going to run the rock. Ole Miss is, arguably the best rushing team in America. I mean, you take away the service academies, and what they're doing is unbelievable.
Yep.
And then who did you just play? And then you got Arkansas with Rocket Sanders and KJ Jefferson. So a little bit of fairness, like you faced 3 really good rushing teams that were just a bad matchup anyway. Shouldn't give up 1,000 yards in 3 games. But,
right.
Yeah. Well, what's that stat about Tank's yards after contact? He's always getting hit in the backfield. And then you watch teams play Auburn, and the guy doesn't even get touched until he's like 5 yards down the field. Sanders was just patiently staying behind the offensive line like this, just watching, picking his moment, and then just taking off. I mean, it couldn't have been any easier for him.
Yes.
Which was something Cole had to complain about with Tank last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look, Tank's gotten a lot better this year, in my opinion. I think he understands the zone runs and all those things much better. But he's a guy that, and I put this in there this morning, you got to give him some gap scheme runs. I mean, hey, this is where you hit it right here. Hit it 100 miles an hour. And he's built for that. He's good at it. A lot of his big plays have come from that. And I think maybe Will Friend, coaching the offensive line, could maybe see that. We'll see. They did that a lot at Ole Miss and had a great rushing game. And, Ole Miss's defense isn't all that great up front. But still, I just think that's the big change that needs to be made.
Cole, how's Mississippi State's defense against the run?
They are literally, what's funny about Mississippi State? I think every single statistic, they're ranked in the 60s in the country. Almost every single one.
Straight average.
Just about as average as you can be.
Huh.
I thought they had a better roster than that. I thought they were going to be a little bit better than that.
So with an offensive line coach as coordinator, as presumably your play caller, as a running backs coach, as your interim head coach, going up against an average rush defense and an offensive line that can't give quarterbacks protection, and even if they do, the quarterback's 50-50 on whether or not he can throw to the receivers who can't get separation.
Yeah.
All lines up to 3 yards in a cloud of dust all day long.
Plus, you want to shorten the game against the team that throws the hell out of the ball too, right?
Run the rock.
Should have learned that lesson last year.
That's right. Justin's absolutely right.
What do you say?
Should have learned that lesson last year about shortening the game. I mean, they scored. I mean, you were up 28-3, and you watched them. I still can't believe that game happened. I still cannot believe I watched Mississippi State score 6 consecutive touchdowns. Touchdown.
Ooh, it was rough.
Touchdown. I still can't believe I witnessed that in Jordan-Hare Stadium. But anyway, it's still unbelievable.
Justin, I remember you and me sitting up in the press box during the Iron Bowl going, there's no need to throw the ball at all in the fourth quarter. Just get that clock down, and you'll have a shot.
Yeah.
And they threw an interception.
Yeah. I just want to go right after this game. Cornell Williams, outsmarts Mike Leach in the first game. Like,
Yeah.
It's just be amazing thing to say.
By the way, Jeffrey,
yeah,
to your question real quick, they're 59th in the country, 137 yards per game. But I would say that their front is a little bit better than, a couple of these teams they've seen. Their front's pretty good, talent.
Better than Arkansas, Ole Miss?
As run stoppers, I think. Maybe not pass rush.
Well, that's why you got to get Ashford super involved in the running game. I mean, you have to. He's going to take some hits. That's the way it's got to be, right? I mean, what do you think, Cole? I mean, he's got to.
Yes, yeah, he needs carries.
They got to create some eye candy for the defense.
What's interesting though, and when I've gone through these games, these designed runs that he gets are not successful right now. It's when a play breaks down. That's where he's getting his rushing yards from. It's not this, quarterback counter or the zone read. I mean, he lost yards twice on the zone read against Arkansas.
How about was it Schenker that lined up at quarterback last week and snapped?
Yeah,
that was a great play.
That was a great play. He caught them off guard 100%.
Most of his yardage is coming off of scrambles.
Yes, most of it. Yeah, he had a little bit of success maybe in a. I don't know. I really don't think he had much success in any of the designed quarterback runs or the reads, and I'm not sure if he's even reading it, which is strange because they do have a read man. In other words, they got a guy that they're not blocking for him to read, and I never saw him look at it. So I don't know.
Nicole, no, you posted earlier this week on the corner that you would put TJ Finley in there and roll with him. Oh, really?
Not popular.
How'd that go? Yeah.
Oh, not well. Not well. People are questioning my judgment now.
I think TJ would disagree with you at this point.
Sure, he would.
I think TJ would be like, "I'm good, thank you."
But I'm gonna stick with it though. I think that I would give him a shot, is what I said. I would give him a shot at this point.
What if he doesn't want a shot?
Then, look, that's what I don't know.
GTFO.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
You don't want a shot. I don't know why you're still dressing out, right?
We'll see. I don't know, man. That guy. I mean, because what's he play? Played the first 2 games. Played a little bit of Penn State. I mean, he could still use a redshirt. Pretty sure.
How many games has Gerner played in? Just one?
One Missouri game.
Well, he started last week.
He started last week, but
he did.
So the trick
is good.
If you decided to get Gerner snaps the next 3 games, let's say, that gets him to 4. Then you go into the Iron Bowl knowing that you can't have your starting quarterback get hurt for even a play, or it's going to cost your guy a red shirt. But
yeah.
Would you guys play Gerner a little bit the next couple of weeks?
That's who I would prefer over Finley, to be honest, just out of curiosity, strict curiosity. But
I'd play him against.
If you had just an average offensive line when it comes to pass protection, I would say sure. Let's see what the kid's got.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm not putting an immobile quarterback behind that offensive line.
You don't want to see
I'm not going to do that to the kid.
You don't want to see him eating Thanksgiving dinner out of a tube.
We laugh, but damn if it ain't true.
Man. Tell you what, they fixed some of those. They fixed some of those missed assignments and had a much better game. Not great by any standards, but a lot of it was just missed assignments. That's crazy to me.
Sound like Harsin.
The best guy out there?
What'd you say?
Who's the best guy out there?
Jeremiah Wright, the best guy out there on that line, honestly?
Yeah, I think he is. He's still learning how to pass block. He doesn't have a great, still trying to figure that out. Still got some missed assignments, but I mean,
how does that make any sense? Now, we heard about Jeremiah Wright. Like, we thought there was potential there. He sits on the bench, never plays, and then he comes out against Ole Miss, and he has the best run blocking grade, of course, according to Pro Football Focus. Not just of the game. It was one of the best run blocking grades of any Auburn offensive lineman this season. And then he comes back, doesn't start against Arkansas, but comes in and does some more good things. And you're like, I guess the pass blocking thing, I guess that's maybe what held him back. But you're wondering, why has that guy been stuck on the bench for half the season?
And they wasted a whole year with him on defense last year, right?
Hey, Brian Harsin said that was his choice. Okay, he wanted to do that. He's the one that went back and forth.
He is. You believe that?
Cole Kubelik would agree that Jeremiah Wright needs to be in the game. I think he tweeted that the other day. But even in that game that he was so good in, he was a liability in pass protection because he didn't exactly know what to do, and maybe that's why. But still, at this point, I mean, you're going to have problems anyway. You might as well.
We don't need to pass. Just
yeah.
Just
actually, isn't that a good thing? Because all their best pass plays are play breakdowns, right?
Yeah, breaking down anyway. I saw a stat last week. Yeah. I saw a stat last week from SEC StatCat, who, if you don't follow him on Twitter, he's got some awesome stuff. It's just SEC stats. And I think Auburn's broken play rate was basically 1 in 4. I mean, it was –
wow.
It was of course, it led the league. But, like, when you're going through these stats, it was just ridiculous. But it's basically 1 in 4. Every 1 out of every 4 plays was a completely broken play.
So every offensive series averaged a broken play.
Yeah, at minimum, yeah. And if there is a drive, I mean, how hard is it to drive if 1 out of 4 is just going to be a broken play? That's why they would have to play time, but you can't sustain anything. There's no consistency.
That would have to suggest that you're throwing the ball a good bit too, because those broken plays come in the passing game more so than the running game. So
well, yeah, they toss Ashford out there and he's throwing the ball 40 times in 2 different games or more. I mean, it's like makes no sense.
I think the biggest mistake they made is yes, Ashford makes big plays sometimes out of those broken plays, but if it's 1 of every 4 play, and then the chances of him having a big play from one of those broken plays are not, over 50% either, I don't think. So why not just hand it off to Tank and see what happens? That's my question. This is what I would.
So what's everybody's? Let's say what? Let's I'll ask this question, then we'll do prize picks. Like, what is the expectation? Because I see people excited about Carnell, and I get it. Like, what an awesome opportunity. Listening to Carnell Williams on the teleconference on Wednesday was really cool. I mean, this guy probably had no idea he'd ever have head coach of Auburn next to his name. It's awesome. But like Jeffrey said, the personnel's not changing. Schemes are kind of what they are. I'm a little worried about expectations of fans of like, oh, there's a coaching change. Everybody's fired up for Carnell, and it's going to produce some dramatically different result. And I would just I would kind of tamp that down and say, I think the fans need to be on what Carnell, which is like, I just want to see a team play hard, play together. Past that, I mean, Carnell said it. He goes, I don't know if we're going to win any game next 4 games. I just want to see X, Y, Z. So I don't want fans to get so jacked that they're like, well, Starkville, we're going to take it easy. They could go there and lose by 3 touchdowns. I don't know.
I don't think expectations should move any. I don't think Auburn will be favored in any of the remaining SEC games. I don't expect them to win any of the remaining SEC games. All this is an opportunity for Auburn fans to come and support their team.
Yeah.
Play hard.
Yeah.
And be there for them. I hope Texas A&M game next Saturday, I hope we see a sold-out stadium, and I truly believe we will. And I think people will stay till the end no matter what. The vibe around the program is what you're there for. Hope. You're cheering on for hope.
Yeah. That would be a nice sight to see. I mean, I don't know. Penn State game obviously was sold out, but that's really it. I mean, LSU game, I guess, was pretty hype. Arkansas game given the circumstances, the crowd was okay in terms of numbers, but man, I've never seen a crowd just there like.
You're talking about Arkansas?
No energy. Just, we're here to watch a game. It goes the way it did. They're like, all right, we're leaving. I mean, it was.
You talking about Arkansas?
Yeah, this past one.
It was awful. The cheerleader, the head cheerleader dude, the mic man, whatever he's called, white hat guy, was out in the middle of the field leading the pregame cheers, and I don't know if it's me and Cole or me and Christian or somebody was sitting over there on the sidelines, 40 yards from the guy, and should typically we're leaning in to talk to each other. It was awful.
Yeah.
It was awful. It was the worst game day atmosphere for an SEC football game that I've seen I don't know if I've ever seen a worse one. It was awful.
I'm with Jeff. I don't think the expectations should change at all. I mean, look, it's hard for a good team with coaching stability and a good quarterback. And it's hard for a solid team to go into Starkville and win at night. It's a for a program that's historically not, a top 25 type program, it can be a challenge to play there. And so now, Auburn's not in a great spot. 3-5. We don't think the talent is great, but hopefully they'll come together, be a little bit more cohesive. If they cut out some of the mistakes, there weren't the turnovers last week. So maybe if you cut out some of the mistakes, you can stay in the game and anything can happen. But to expect a miracle, I mean, there's a reason why they're 3-5, quite frankly, and really should be 2-6 if we're being honest. I mean, they could have beaten LSU, but they lost. They should have lost to Missouri. I mean, the guy's on the 1-inch line and fumbles the ball. So, when you're 2-6, you're not expected to go in, regardless of who's coaching. You're not expected to go in and face a team with a winning record on the road, a night game in the SEC and win. So it's going to be a challenge, there's no doubt. But, let's see what they got. Let's see what the young guys got. Let's see if the old guys are still motivated. And, how hard do they play for Cadillac? I mean, even if you just raise your game just a little bit, maybe that's 1 or 2 more positive plays. Sometimes these games come down to 4 or 5 plays. We'll know. Who knows?
Yep.
All right, you want to do prize picks?
Prize picks, man. Hey, I had a good week last week, Cole. How about yourself?
I had a decent week. 1-1, lost 1.
Okay. All right. 50-50.
Jeffrey, I have learned something new about prize picks.
Oh.
Another something new.
Yes, and this is a big one. They have Flex Fridays. Have you seen this?
No.
On Flex Friday, whatever bet you play is doubled the payout if you win.
Flex Friday.
So you make a bet on your college football games on Friday, and it's a Flex Friday play. You can double your payout, right? So that is pretty big.
Well, I think we've had a lot of new sign-ups, man. I know a lot of our subscribers have kind of gotten involved. If you're not familiar with Prize Picks, check them out on your App Store app. Download the app. Get registered. It's fantastic. It's a lot of fun. It's a daily fantasy game, sports game. It pits you against the numbers, man. You can play any type of sport any day of the week. Get signed up right now. They will match 100% of your first deposit up to $100. It's available in over 70% of the United States, including Alabama and Georgia and Florida, where most of you guys are from. You simply select either 2 or 5, up to 5. It increases your payout there, whichever one you go in, and you're going either more or less. You're not playing score totals. You're playing like Tank Bigsby over more or less 35 carries in the last 2 games. I don't know. Anyways, fantastic game. I love it. It's a lot of fun, man. A lot of people have gotten involved. Use the promo code War Eagle, all caps, one word, and I think you're going to get the deposit match anyways. But at least lets us know who all's in, who all's involved. Last week I had the trifecta, and I did use that flex play on one. I got a little hesitant on my what's his name, Justin Jefferson total, and I took a flex play on the next one. Of course, I won both of them. That's how I do things. But anyways, get signed up. Prize Picks, man. Go check it out. It's a lot of fun. They don't have any Auburn Mississippi State up yet. Too early, I guess. We'll get those out later. Hey, speaking of numbers, Zach in the back, what is the line with Auburn Mississippi State? Is it still 10.5? Didn't we see 10.5 at one point?
Yeah, it was 10.5 when it opened, which is the first time it's been double digit in 10 years.
That was Sunday night. I just wondered if it's changed any since oh my gosh. Minus 12.5, says Zach in the back. 12.5.
Yeah, you fire a coach, staff.
Interesting.
So, according to Vegas, Auburn got worse.
I don't
know the number.
Bad matchup anyway. I don't think Auburn's going to be able to stop them from scoring, and Auburn can't score. It's going to be tough to stay within 14 to me. But
what's your over-under, Zach?
Mississippi State can run the football. They can.
Who's the running back?
They got 2. What's his name? Dylan Johnson is one of those guys. He's pretty good. And then they got can't think of the other guy's name. But they got 2, and they're both good. Both have over 30 catches on the season, too.
51 and a half. So Zach in the back's got it.
Defense. We'll see about that pass defense. They got their shot now.
Yeah, they're going.
And Leach has that 1 or 2 games a year where the offense just mysteriously vanishes, right? Somebody figures him out. What was it out west? It was always against Washington. Wasn't that the team that always just they couldn't do anything against ever when he was at Wazoo?
Yeah.
Who knows? I mean, but yeah, Auburn's got a good secondary, but now it's going to be now you're going to need to have those guys up front put pressure on the quarterback, and that's where it kills you that Leota's done, because you're going to ask Hall to be basically the one guy putting pressure the whole game. You're going to have to do more with what you did with Popo a little bit last week, I would suspect.
Definitely.
You know what you're going to have to do? Run the football. That's what you're
too. Yeah, couldn't agree with you more.
You're going to have
a few 8-minute drives can totally change the dynamic of the game.
That'd be interesting, Cole. You don't have to. I'd be curious to go back and look at in that span, because we talk about last year in that game where Mississippi State just couldn't be stopped. But I don't remember, and I'd have to go back and look at what Auburn did offensively in that stretch. And what the heck happened? Did they have penalties? How did those drives, how did they just all of a sudden stall out and allow Mississippi State? They didn't answer anything. They literally didn't answer. It was 42 unanswered points.
I'm curious.
I don't know if they kept throwing the ball. I don't really know what offensively Auburn was doing in that time span. It's like sort of the same thing in Iron Bowl. You're up 28-3, and geez, if you just ran the ball for the rest of the time, it'd be tough to do that. But they came.
Did Bo Nix ever leave that game? I know he got hurt in the game, but he stayed in for the whole game, right?
I think so.
He did.
I think he stayed in the whole game.
He was 27 of 41 for 377 yards and 2 touchdowns. I'm looking up the play-by-play now, Justin.
He had a ball game, yeah.
It was a big day for Javarius Johnson, if I remember correctly. He took a screen pass to the house for 60 yards and then had another deep ball in the fourth quarter that Nix hit him on.
All right, so what happened was Auburn went up 28-3 in the second quarter, and the very next drive, Mississippi State went 10 plays and 75 yards. So it was 28-10 at the half.
Yeah, that drive before half was the start of the –
Yeah, and then start of the second half, Auburn went 37 yards and then missed a field goal. Oh, no, I'm sorry. At the end of the half, they missed a field goal. So they had a chance to go up 31-10. Mississippi State then started the second half with a touchdown drive. So really, it wasn't anything the Auburn offense didn't do to get it within 11. It was just, missed field goal.
But then what about the next 4 drives?
Yeah, I'm looking. Punt, 5 plays, 21 yards. Let's see here. We'll go Demetrius Robertson run for 2 yards on first down. Pass to Kobe Hudson for 14, complete pass for 5 yards. 4th down and a punt. Mississippi State scored a touchdown on the next drive. Drive after that, 7 plays for 46 yards, and Auburn missed another field goal. Mississippi State followed that up with a 72-yard touchdown drive and went ahead 29-28. So it didn't even take them that long to get ahead.
Who was missing those field goals?
Anders.
Yeah.
Man.
But so they didn't even really – to get that lead, they did it in less than a full quarter.
Well, I do remember what Mississippi State did on offense. They ran the same play over and over.
Yeah.
What's up with Andros Carlson? Let's don't skip over this guy. You got one job, big dog. You got one job.
He's now coming back from an injury too. He just doesn't. When you see him running out there, he just doesn't even.
Well, was he coming back from an injury back then?
Well, he might have been injured. He was injured late in the season last year. Right?
He's 0 for 2 right now against Mississippi State.
Yeah. Well, he ended up missing late, the latter part of the season. He was hurt. So
kickers, man.
He's he really had one good year. He was 72% his freshman year, 18 of 25. And then in 2020, he was 20 of 22. Great year.
Damn.
Well, listen.
Sorry. And then last year he comes back and he was 14 of 21. So back down to whatever, 65,
66.
And then now he's 8 for 14. So he really just had
8 for 14?
He's 8 for 14. No, I'm sorry. He's 10 for 14 this year.
It's great. Day in the morning.
Let me go back to that game last year. The field goal he missed right before half was 55 yards. And it was 55 yards because on first down from the Mississippi State 30, Bo Nix was sacked. And then they threw 2 straight incompletions. So the first miss was a 55-yarder, okay? Hard to put that too much on him. The second missed field goal, let's see here, was blocked. It was a 35, and it was blocked.
Yeah, and one of his misses this year was blocked. It was blocked in the last game, too.
So yeah, he's struggled. I mean, he had one good year, and really the other 3 years he's been about 70%.
I mean, 20 of 22. That's All-American, dude.
COVID year.
That field goal he hit in the 2019 Iron Bowl right before halftime when they got the 1 second put back on the clock.
That was a bomb.
Huge.
Yeah. Well, and so what's interesting about that is, and it's legitimate talking point is, after the game. After the Arkansas game, Brian Harsin was asked, hey, what do you think about field goal? Have you looked at other options? And it was the first time all season. His answer was, we haven't before today. In other words, his answer was basically, no, but we're going to have to start thinking about it now. And so I'm interested to see if that carries over. I mean, Andre's the guy that comes back. Geez, you want to give him. You want to let him finish his career and not pull him. I mean, it's like the dude comes back and he's a great teammate. But you've also got an uber talented freshman that, I'd want to make sure he sticks around. So I don't know. That's a tough decision. I mean, you want to win games, but it's one of those deals where you'd have to go. That's a tough conversation with Anders. Like, hey,
what year is he?
Who?
Anders.
5th year.
He was like I thought he was like a.
I thought this was his 6th year even. I can't.
Yeah, because he kicked an 18 too. I'm sorry.
Didn't he?
So he's done after this year.
Yeah.
Well, hey man, ride him out, dude. Whatever.
Were he and Daniel on the same team?
Well, and also, a kicker, you don't want to. I mean, McPherson is probably he knows it's his job the minute Anders is done anyway. Yeah. You definitely don't want to run him off, but you also don't want to blow a red shirt on a guy that
right.
It's not going to leave early for the NFL. Probably you probably theoretically be able to keep him for 4 more years.
Listen, Anders isn't going to keep you from going to a bowl game.
He's not keeping them from beating Georgia.
No.
Let ride him out, send him off. Let Alex.
What did I say?
Alex, you're right. Evan's NFL.
Yeah, let that dude take over and be here for 4 years.
Yeah.
You'll have Pete Sanchez as a long-term holder for years.
I think somebody asked Harsin that like earlier in the season. They asked about when the struggle started. They asked about. See, now I can't even remember. Y'all got me confused. Who's on the team now? Alex.
Alex
For Auburn. Okay, that's how I'm going to remember that.
They go, well, hey, what about you think about maybe playing Evan McPherson? Harsin was like, I mean, I'd like to.
Alex.
It was pretty funny. He's like, I mean, if Evan will kick for us, sure, that'd be good.
Alex. Oh.
Yeah.
Bring Evan in, yeah.
Yeah, he's like, is Evan available? Yeah.
Shoo.
Yeah.
Lord have mercy.
Alex McPherson. That kid, watching him in warm-ups, we're talking too much about kicking, but he is a good athlete, by the way. Like, he's going to be great.
Yeah, he is.
All right, so what do you think about – all right, go ahead, Jeffrey.
He just rubbed me the wrong way only because he wouldn't send me his stats last year, little bastard. I mean, you're a kicker. I was 2 for 3. I hit 24 and 70, whatever. He wouldn't do it. Wouldn't answer my calls.
He was yeah, I get it. He was nice to me at the Under Armour game. Him and Austin Osbury chilled with them and Holden.
Hey, so by the way, Osbury, is his dad on LSU's? Is his dad like an AD at LSU?
Yeah, he's one of the assistant or associate ADs at LSU. He's also a former LSU linebacker.
That's interesting. I didn't know that until this week.
Yeah.
It's an interesting little angle there.
Verge. Executive deputy AD.
It's interesting.
Verge. Verge.
I wonder if he had any interest in who Auburn hired as AD. His kid's playing football there.
Yeah, he probably did.
All right, let's talk about this game. I don't know. Is anything we missed from the week?
I would like to hit recruiting real quick. Auburn lost a commitment, Janoris Wilson.
Yeah, dude, let's do that.
Within the hour after Harsin was fired.
Yes.
He opened his recruitment. Keith has been all over this guy. Auburn's still in it, Keith?
Yeah, we think, but, he says, hey, the deal now is once Auburn hires a new head coach, even kids that have officially visited can now officially visit the second time. It doesn't count against their number, and it doesn't count against the school's number of kids they can have visit. So I said, will you officially visit Auburn again? He said, if they want me to. But here's the problem with him now. We knew this was going to happen. Justin, there are a couple commitments. Norris Wilson, the offensive tackle, and Jeremiah Cobb, the running back, who we're all familiar with. We knew that they were having great seasons. We knew more attention was going to come their way, and that's exactly what happened. So this time where Auburn doesn't have a head coach is allowing Oregon in specific to kind of dig its claws into Janoris Wilson. FSU's now getting involved. They're going to take a second look at him. Michigan, Oklahoma. So that's going to be dicey. I couldn't predict which direction that's going to go. And I know he loves Auburn, and they're still talking to him. They're still trying to keep that line of communication open. But now he's got other people coming at him. When they beat him out, when they got him the first time in I think September, they really only had to beat off North Carolina beat out North Carolina, whatever, Jeffrey. Beat out North Carolina and UCF. But this time, now you've got some real competition. So
I'm giggling like a little schoolgirl over here.
Well, that's a term too. That term works, but
I don't know what you.
So we don't know. I mean, his team's going to be in the playoffs. So if you're Auburn, you hope they win the state title because that means he's going to take a lot of weekend visits. You know what I mean? What now? But did I say something else?
No.
Okay. But again, so you don't want him visiting other schools. Now, he's told me he's going to officially visit Oregon in December, but he still wants to sign in December. But it's really hard trying to talk here, Jeff. Come on, man.
He said, "Come on, man."
My God, I'm trying to keep a straight face.
Oh, man.
And actually, Walter Cronkite delivering the news with Gallagher smashing a watermelon.
Hey, a lot of official visitors next weekend, though, for real. Hey, and this is something that we will talk about more about tomorrow on the recruiting show. But Keith made a fantastic point, dude. All of Auburn's official visits completely reset. All of those guys back in June that came for official visits can now come back for another official visit. So, man, it's going to be a busy next 6 weeks because – 7 weeks. Early signing day, December 21st. You're going to have Auburn finishes November 26th. You've got December the 4th. You've got December the 11th. You've got December the 18th. So you've got 3 weekends in December that's going to be loaded with recruiting. And you hope
the portal window in December.
Portal opens in early December as well. So you're hoping Auburn has a head coach ready to go November the 27th or December the 1st at the latest. And you're bringing in guys that first weekend in December for official visits. Next weekend, I mean, hey, Cadillac's hit the ground running with this. And no reason to think he wouldn't, but, he's been absolutely very active. Talked to Sterling Dixon last night. Cadillac was on the phone with him. He's a 2024 edge from Mobile. He's going to make a decision early December. Really loves Auburn. But but next weekend they're going to have a big weekend of official visits for the A&M game, which is why I think one of the reasons that Auburn's going to have a good turnout, and these kids are going to get to see it. Clay Whedon's coming in; he's locked in with Auburn. DeQuavius Sorey, Brian Longwell, a linebacker from Nashville. Keith, who am I forgetting?
Oh, let's see.
I have them written down right here.
Stanquan Clark.
Stanquan Clark. Reuben Bain's going to come back for an unofficial visit.
It's his teammate and another guy down there. Not their teammate, but Edwin Joseph, a defensive back from Chaminade Madonna in Hollywood. We think he's going to visit. That could end up turning into an official visit. We'll see. They're also working on a Texas commit. Defensive back from the state of Texas that's been committed to the Longhorns for over a year, but Zach Etheridge has built a good relationship with them. They're hoping he officially visits, but he was going to officially visit last week and had to cancel. So I don't know. They're working on a lot of things. They are not – if anything, some people behind the scenes said they're recruiting guys harder now. Just selling Auburn, keeping the fish on the hook until a coach is hired to then try to reel them in, basically.
Did you mention Lamar Seymour?
I did not, but that was another one. That was the other Miami Central guy that we think is going to – he's a receiver committed to Pitt. Obviously, Auburn's had good luck flipping receiver commitments from Pitt, as they did with Camden Brown last year. So that's something to keep an eye on. Formerly committed to Miami as well, having a big season down in Miami Central, which I think is the number 3 team in the country in high school football. So a lot of good dudes down there. I'm sure they're thinking, hey, you get a couple of the guys – makes it a hell of a lot more enticing for Reuben Bain to come play with his friends and have some people to lean on if he's in Auburn.
Familiarity, yeah.
For what it's worth, I did ask Edwin Joseph that for that game that he was at Auburn afterwards if he was going to take an official visit to Auburn. He said, "Yes, sir, absolutely." So
now we got a little more info on him. We don't think – I think a couple other schools are recruiting him. Auburn, besides Auburn, FSU and Louisville. Louisville's primary recruiter on him is McGriff, Crime Dog, the old Auburn coach. But we think it's probably an FSU-Louisville battle right now, but Auburn's hoping to kind of get more in the mix. And people have always thought he was going to go to Miami, and now it sounds like maybe he's not going to go to Miami, so we'll see.
Have we done game predictions?
We haven't. Real quick, so who does Auburn need to – I think you guys wrote about who do they not need to lose from this class? Like, be real.
Janoris Wilson – oh, he's not in this class.
Yeah.
Jeremiah Cobb.
Cobb. That's the main one.
Yep.
It's really the main one.
Okay.
And Georgia, obviously, again, we said that Georgia's recruiting 2 running backs, and the other one seems to be pretty locked into Alabama, which means Cobb becomes a priority recruit for Georgia. That's not good news. Now, he's close with Cadillac, and you would hope – if you're Auburn, you just don't. If he decommits, he decommits. You can live with that, but you can't have him flip to Georgia. You ain't getting him back if that happens. I don't think. So
I think I'm going to try to keep Clay Whedon as well. I think offensive line is such a huge priority, and he is so versatile. He's not under the impression he's going to come in and expect to start as a true freshman. He knows he's a developmental guy, could probably be a multi-year starter down the road. I think you keep him in the fold as much as possible.
Yeah,
loves Auburn
for Ashley Williams too, being at the edge position.
Yeah,
and he's he's kind of shot up the rankings too, from going to a no star when Auburn offered him to now a 4-star, pretty much consensus. So
stud, he's having a big senior year.
He is.
20 tackles for loss, 11 sacks, 40-something tackles.
He's probably still a developmental guy. I mean, it may take him a minute, but you got to have those. I mean, you got nobody coming back from.
And you guys said Harsin can't recruit.
Yeah, right.
Well, I talked to him last night, Ashley Williams, and I'm surprised. As well as he's playing with his frame, he really doesn't have a lot of other big programs after him. Well, that's fine. If you're Auburn, you don't care. You've evaluated, you like him, you'll take him. But he said he's talking to Washington, Colorado, Tulane. There had been chatter about a month ago that LSU was looking at him, but they already have like 3 or 4 edges committed. Yep. So it doesn't seem like they're going to go in that direction. But I like if Auburn wants him, if the new staff wants him, I think he sits.
And Rock Bellantoni is going to watch him tonight, I think. I think he plays tonight. Rock Bellantoni is going to use the Auburn's last 42nd eval visit to go see Ashley Williams.
Yep.
Nice. Oh, let's do predictions for this game.
Hey, real quick, Justin, little interesting deal here. Obviously, Tennessee-Georgia's the game of the week. The get-in price of tickets for that game, $626. Okay. Most expensive ticket right now, $5,233. Ticket. Just to go to the game.
Never.
It's crazy.
That is wild. And I think I saw, by the way, the first time ever, #1 in the college football playoff versus #1 in the actual poll. That's what you've got Saturday. Tennessee somehow is #1 in the college football playoff, but Georgia is #1 in the polls, and those teams have never faced each other like that. So you've essentially got 1 versus 1.
What's the line on that game? Anybody know?
I don't even know.
I wonder who's. I'll take.
Auburn. I don't even know anything existed this week. Like,
yeah, who do we have in that?
Wow, UGA -8 says Zach in the back.
Who you
I would
got?
say
Who are you picking in that one?
Georgia.
Me too.
Georgia.
Me too.
I don't know if I'd take the points, but I'm taking Georgia.
yeah, that 8 seems like. I mean, yeah, that's just going to be a fascinating game. I mean, I think the biggest advantage Georgia's got is being able to watch the film on Alabama and see what they do well against Alabama and adjust to some of that stuff. That's probably a huge advantage.
Georgia seems to have that ability to kind of rise up a little bit against the better teams. Yeah. Maybe losing a little bit against the Missouris of the world, and
Yeah.
We're picking Auburn, Mississippi State.
Auburn, Mississippi State. Are there any other big games? Any other games we could pick? Anything else? Anything else? Is that the big game, Tennessee, Georgia?
That's the big one.
FSU Miami's not big anymore, so we don't care about that.
Which is so sad. It's so sad. Arkansas.
Alabama, LSU.
Alabama, LSU. Wow. Yeah.
What, this weekend?
What's the line on that, Zach?
It's Zach working back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's our Vegas insider.
Baton Rouge, right?
Yeah, I got Bama. I think Bama. I mean,
Still,
I got Bama 14-20 in that one.
Bama minus 13.5.
Alabama hasn't. Bama's had some 2 or 3 close games. I mean, they lost one, then they had the near miss with Texas. Who else gave them a game? A&M gave them a game. A&M gave them a game.
Yeah.
But they just look better than LSU, don't they? I mean, I don't know.
Interesting. There is a very interesting game. You got Liberty and Arkansas.
Oh, yeah.
I tweeted about that literally after, as soon as Auburn lost, I was like, hey, Liberty plays Arkansas next week. Just saying.
That will be interesting.
What's that one, Zach? Is there a line on that game?
It's Arkansas minus 13.5.
Do we decide Alabama at LSU?
It is.
Yeah, it's in Baton Rouge. I'm almost positive.
Yeah, it is.
LSU home 2-touchdown dog at home. And I'm sure.
I mean, LSU's offensively is starting to do good things, and Jaden Daniels. I don't know what he did at Auburn. What was his worst game? I mean, he did not play well at Auburn. He's having a really good season, a great season.
Was that lockdown secondary, man?
Yeah, it was weird. He was off. His receivers were dropping balls. It looked like they were out of sorts.
There were a lot of drops.
Yeah, he's been really good. That could be an interesting game there for a while. Alabama LSU.
Well, let me ask you this: if LSU wins that game, what do the standings look like in the West? I haven't noticed because the team we cover have. So does that change? Well, and here's why I bring that up. Because
Ole Miss.
Ole Miss may be going to, and if that happens, I guess does Ole Miss? They have one SEC loss. Okay, so if Bama beat them in a head-to-head, they would still go.
Yeah, but Ole Miss gets Alabama and Oxford next week, and they think they can win that game. So, I mean,
won't that be the SEC Western Division Championship game?
It will if Alabama beats LSU.
Well, but what's LSU's record in the conference? They only
Zach in the back says LSU controls their own destiny.
Right, LSU.
They get almost, yeah.
LSU's second loss was to FSU somehow.
Yeah. And if LSU does control their own destiny, yeah. If they win, because they beat Ole Miss, yeah.
Couple of other things. What happens if Texas A&M loses to Florida this week? They would be 3-6. That's crazy.
You just have to eat it.
If Auburn wins Saturday, them and State got the same SEC record. That'd be really disappointing for Mississippi State.
Yeah.
Saturday.
How about
briefly though? That's why the Lane Kiffin stuff. We're not going to talk about coaching search because they're going forever. But the Lane Kiffin stuff right now is there's not really much can happen there because he's got a team that he thinks he can go to Atlanta with, and so if anything's happening there behind the scenes, it's Jimmy Sexton. Lane Kiffin's thinking, beat Alabama, go to Atlanta. Like he thinks that's what he can do. So if you want Lane Kiffin, probably gonna have to root for Alabama next week. You want him in Atlanta. You want him. Don't win the division. Don't make it to Atlanta and be available after the Egg Bowl. So you're gonna have to root for Alabama if you want.
Yeah, I think Ole Miss is off this week, so they can sit back and get healthy and re-energize going into that Bama game next week. Bama's going to be coming off a big physical game Saturday night in Baton Rouge, so you never know, right?
Yeah, they think they can do it. Ole Miss has never been to Atlanta.
RTR, Paul.
There's also a real chance that Alabama, Georgia, and Tennessee all have one loss going into the playoffs or deciding the playoffs.
I want to enjoy everything else going on. It's like all the craziness at Auburn, and it's like I want to actually enjoy the season, but it's the stuff that's going on at Auburn. It's like it just keeps you away from. You're like, I don't know. Is there a season going on? I wouldn't know.
Pretty fantastic season in the SEC.
Yeah.
And by the way, from what I hear,
yeah, it's going pretty well. And Keith, you mentioned bowl game. I don't know. I know Carnell straight up told the team our goal is to play 5 more games, not 4. During that on Monday, but and look, maybe the atmosphere changes with new staff. Maybe there's guys, hey, I wouldn't mind playing a bowl game with these guys and this staff. Maybe that'd be a fun little ride. But it's got to start on Saturday. You got to start with a win and just see where it goes. All right, predictions. Anybody think Auburn wins this game?
No.
No, I don't think so. I don't have the numbers on it, but isn't there like a high rate of teams that lose their coach midseason and then go and win the next game?
I think this year, I think I saw the 6. I think there were 6 instances in the next game. I think the team that lost their coach is 4-2.
Well, I don't think it matters, but it's interesting.
I'll say Mississippi State 31-23. I think it's going to be another fairly competitive game. I do. We'll see. I mean, I could be wrong. I do think Auburn's going to be able to run the ball and hit enough big plays in the running game to kind of keep them in it a little bit.
I'm going to go Mississippi State 24, Auburn 21.
Damn, y'all got some close scores going on here. 1-score games.
Yeah, the 24. I'd be pretty impressed.
I got a 34-20.
That's a good one. Zach says 31-20, Mississippi State. Yeah, it's I think good effort from Auburn. I think it'll be interesting. But yeah, you got to go maybe 34-17, Mississippi State.
It's probably going to be more like that. Although I was close last week. I had 42-28. Final score was 41-27. So,
yeah, Auburn.
Price is Right rules. You won.
Yeah, it's true.
Auburn finally scores 4th quarter touchdowns, and what do? Fire Brian Harsin. He's like, I finally did it. I scored the 4th quarter. You're fired. All right, we are doing a great job, man. Everybody's doing a great job. We'll cover this game. Coaching search. Basketball started, by the way. Basketball exhibition. So that's going on and rolling. Fun time to be a part of Auburn Live. I'll say that. Join the site. $25 for a year. Again, be a part of AuburnLive.com. All right, let's get out of here. Everybody enjoy their day. Pink, Jeffrey, Keith. I am Justin. We'll see everybody next time.